What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hey, I'm Lo, and my husband and I are working on paying off six-figure student loan debt along with a bunch of other debt, and we paid off $30,000 of credit card debt last year, and that means we accumulated $30,000 of credit card debt at some point before that. So I am an expert, I would say, in impulse purchases and impulse spending, and so in today's video I'm going to share with you guys all of my tips and tricks on how I was able to get my impulse spending under control, and so we were able to pay off our credit card debt and stay credit card debt free. So what is impulse spending? Basically, to me, impulse spending is when you make a purchase that you didn't plan for in advance. So you see something and you buy it within a short period of time after you become aware of that item. So you go into a store and you're at the checkout and you see some candy there and you're just like, oh, let me grab some. Oh, let me grab that gum. Oh, let me do this. It was not a pre-planned thing. Or the other type of impulse spending is you go to purchase something and you end up spending way more than you meant to buy. So you go to spend money on a TV and you wanted to spend around $200 or $300 and you end up spending $500 or $1,000. Or you go to buy clothes because you need some new clothes for an event or for a trip or something, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna get one dress and one outfit, and you end up buying like 10 outfits. That is what I think of as impulse spending, and that was a big problem for me for a long time. So there's several things I've done that have helped me get the impulse spending under control, and I will tell you, since I've gotten it under control, I still shop. I still get to shop. I still buy things that I like, and you know what? I enjoy those things more than I did when I was impulse spending, because after you impulse spend, you feel guilty, or at least I did. I felt really guilty because I knew we didn't have the money and I was putting it on a credit card, and so I didn't really get the full enjoyment of the item that I would have if we had budgeted for it and I had stayed within budget. And that's what happens now. I budget for how much I'm allowed to spend. I stay within that budget, and so when I make purchases, I really enjoy them and I don't feel any guilt when I make those purchases anymore. So if you are just trying to figure out how to get your impulse spending under control, first of all, you have to accept a truth about spending. Big corporations are marketing to you in ways that are tricking your brain into thinking that you will gain a certain amount of happiness from those items that really doesn't exist. This happens because when you buy an item, you think, oh, I am going to, you know, be this person who has this item, or I'm going to look a certain way in this piece of clothing or something like that. And then you bring it home and you wear it for a little bit and it kind of just blends in with the rest of your stuff. And that's called hedonic adaptation. And I talked about this in my video a while back about how much money you need to be happy. And I watched the CNBC video and reacted to it where they're talking about hedonic adaptation. So I'll link that CNBC video in the video description here if you want to check that out. It's really good. I really recommend you guys watch that one. But yeah, basically what happens after you purchase something is you get like a temporary high from it, and then that fades away pretty quickly within a few hours to a few weeks, and then that becomes your baseline. So you buy a new bag or you buy a bunch of new clothes, and then after a little while they don't really make you happy anymore. They just become your everyday things. And if you've made a new purchase of a piece of clothing that you really like and then you put it in your closet, and then after a few weeks you kind of like can't tell the difference between that piece of clothing and the rest of your clothes, that's hedonic adaptation. So understanding that concept is really important, because the high, that little boost that you're getting in your happiness from the purchase, understanding that that's temporary is a huge piece of cutting back on your impulse spending. So the first thing that I recommend you do if you're trying to cut back on impulse spending is try to raise your awareness around your impulse spending. When does your impulse spending happen? What sort of things do you tend to impulse buy on? Is it food? Is it clothing? Is it, you know, things for your children? Like, is it gifts for other people? Like, what areas do you tend to go over and beyond what you meant to spend? Or what stores do you tend to do that at? I know Target was a huge offender for me for a long time. I would go into Target and I literally could not leave without spending $100. Like, I would need one or two things and I would just find stuff that I thought I couldn't live without. And I'm like, oh no, I have to have this. Oh, I've been meaning to get this. Oh, I want to get this thing that I didn't know existed that now I have to have. And so I would do some journaling or just some like bullet points in your phone. Write down what is going on when you're making an impulse purchase. purchase? Is it when you're doing online shopping at night, when you've had a couple glasses of wine? Like, what is your time that you tend to kind of fall into this trap of impulse spending? When you raise your awareness around your impulse spending, you then start to catch yourself. You then say, okay, I know that Target is my weak spot. So when I go into Target, I know to have my like shields up a little bit to be like, okay, don't make any impulse purchases. And when you go into Target, if you're aware of the fact that you make impulse purchases in Target, when you feel the urge to make an impulse purchase, you'll actually be aware of it. So I went into Target recently and I am very good now about following my list and not making impulse purchases. And I went in and they had some really cute summer dresses and they had matching ones for a mom and a daughter. And I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever. I want that. I have to have it. Like, let me just go look. I'm not gonna get it, but let me just go look. And I felt like physical pull, like literally physical pull, because I was so aware of what was going on in my body and in my mind around the impulse spending. I physically could feel myself being pulled towards those items. And now, since I'm really practiced at it, I know that that's like a warning sign for me. If I feel like physically pulled towards something that I want and there's like a reaction in my body that I can tell is happening, I know that that's an impulse urge and I shouldn't give into it. So I went and looked at the dresses. They're really cute, but I was like, you know what? Let me sit on this. I'm not gonna make this purchase right away. Let me think about it. These dresses will be here tomorrow if I wanna come back. And I stepped away and I didn't make the purchase right then. So that brings me to my next tip is if you want to make an impulse purchase, put a rule on yourself that you have to wait at least 24 to 48 hours to make that purchase. So in that example with the dresses in Target, I went up to the dresses, I really wanted them. I said, you know what? They'll be here in 24 hours. If I really want to come back, I can come back tomorrow and I can get these dresses. And you know what? After I left the store, I kind of forgot about it and I didn't really want them so much. And then I was like, well, why should I just buy the first cute mother-daughter thing that I see? Maybe I should like do more research on cute mother-daughter outfits if I really want something matching. And maybe instead of buying something matching, like maybe we already have something that's matching and we could take some cute pictures in it. And so you step back and you get out of like the franticness of the moment and you realize that you have other options there. Like maybe those dresses at Target weren't the best quality and weren't the style that you would want, and you should go buy them somewhere else if you really want that, you know, mother-daughter outfit. So that's just one example. Obviously there's many other ways you could apply this, but for me, if I feel that urge, I have my awareness up that I'm feeling like, okay, I'm feeling like making an impulse purchase, I stop myself and I say, you need to wait 24, but usually more like 48 hours to see, do I really want this thing 2 days from now before I allow myself to make the purchase. The next thing that I implemented to help stop with impulse purchases is the $5 rule. So when I first was learning about stopping impulse purchases, it was really, really hard. And so one thing that I did is when I went into Target, I would give myself an impulse spending budget. Like I would say, okay, you can't buy anything that's an impulse purchase that isn't on your list right now when you go into the store, but I will give you like an impulse spending budget. So I think it used to be like $20 and then went down to $10 and now it's $5. So when I go into Target, if there's anything that I want to purchase that's under that impulse spending budget limit, so whatever you set it at, $20, $10, $5, whatever works for you, and if I want to purchase that thing, then I can use that money to make the purchase. So I go into Target and I have a $5 spending limit and I see a candle for $5 that I really, really want. I can decide to get it, and I kind of like give myself that wiggle room to make the purchase guilt-free. But what that helps stop me from doing is doing multiples of those. So let's say there's a $5 candle and a $5 shirt and a $5 thing. I can't get all of them. I can only make one $5 purchase. Or if you get a bunch of things in the dollar spot, you can get 5 things for $5. So whatever your limit is, set it and stick to that, because that was the other thing that would happen is I wouldn't just make one impulse purchase. I would then get on a roll and be like, okay, well, let me grab this and this and this, and you kind of like get into a like spending frenzy and you don't even know what's happening, and you're walking out of the store and looking at your receipt and like crying because your credit card is now close to maxed out and you don't even know what happened. So I really like the impulse spending budget. That's very helpful for me when I go into the store. The other thing that I try to do a lot of now that's available super easily from a lot of stores is curbside pickup. So for grocery shopping and for Target, I do curbside pickup for everything I can. For my grocery store, they charge you $3 for grocery pickup, and they do all the shopping for you, and you just call when you're there, and then they put it in the back of your car. And for me, I'm happy to pay that $3 to not impulse spend, because I would have probably spent more than $3 in impulse purchases of like, oh, those crackers look good, oh, that seasonal, you know, candy looks good. I probably would have spent that at $3 anyway. And then also to save an hour of your time in the store and the energy you have to exert not making impulse purchases, I think it's worth that $3. And then with Target, it's free curbside pickup, so they just come out to your car, and it really avoids you walking through and seeing all the cute stuff that they've got marketing teams that are spending like millions and millions of dollars figuring out how to get you to spend more money when you're in there. So if you get around their game and you just add things to your list that you need and do the curbside pickup, then you don't have to walk through and try to avoid all their really well calculated strategic tactics to get you to spend more money. And then finally, one thing that I do with you guys, and I'd highly recommend you do, the whole reason that I have my channel basically is for accountability. And so what I do oftentimes, because I still don't trust myself, even though it's been like over a year since I've made any like serious impulse purchases, I let you guys know. I post on my Instagram stories, hey guys, going to Target, I have 3 things on my list, do you think I'm gonna be able to stick to it? And then I go in there, I know you guys are watching and waiting to hear an update, and then when I get out of there, I tell you how I did, and sometimes I even show you my receipt. So I have literal receipts to show you that I didn't impulse spend while I was in there. And I needed that. I need that to know that like somebody's watching and gonna know if I make an impulse purchase that I didn't want to make. And it's like having a trainer at the gym, like you don't feel like going, but when somebody's there waiting for you, you have that accountability and you find a way to show up. So I would find a friend who's like into saving money and trying to cut back on their impulse spending, or you know, post on your social media, or find a group where you can connect with them and talk about these things and share when you are gonna go into a store, and do exactly what I do. Hey guys, I'm going into the store, I've got my list, I'm gonna stick to it, I'll tell you when I get out, and you guys can all cheer for me, and we can all be happy together that I cut back on the impulse spending. And just like anything that's worth doing in life, it takes practice, it takes time to get good at it, and as you get better at it, it becomes easier and more normal. So the first time you start trying to do this, it may feel really weird and really difficult, and really like you may screw up a couple times and not follow the rules. But the thing is, if you keep trying, if you keep pushing at it, it will become normal. And now I feel pretty confident that on a day-to-day basis, I'm not gonna make any impulse purchases. And if I do wanna purchase something, I know I'm gonna wait and really reflect on it before I do. And that has really seemed to work for me. And I am somebody, just to like give you an idea, I love shopping. I could spend thousands of dollars in a couple hours. Like, I love shopping. I'm not somebody who has ever been super frugal. I got into $30,000 of credit card debt, okay? So that wasn't just me, it was me and my husband and like vacations we took and stuff. But anyway, like, that doesn't happen because you're not good at shopping and spending a lot of money quickly. And that accumulated over the course of like 2 or 3 years. So I'm an expert in spending money, but now I've become an expert in stopping impulse purchases. So I hope you guys found this useful. If you have any other suggestions of how you stop your impulse spending, then put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing to keep your spending on track. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as a subscriber, and I'll see you guys soon in my next video. Bye.